Hello and welcome to Revelation in the News. I'm your host, Ricky Baker. Today we have some intense topics we're going to be talking about today, and one of the topics right now is the riots that are happening in the United States.
Yeah, matter of fact, we've been seeing so much division going on in the United States, and, between riots, civil war, possible civil war. Like when you look on Facebook and see everybody's responses to this division that's going on, it's a little unsettling, matter of fact. We're even seeing potential World War III with North Korea, Iran chanting death to America in their halls, and we're seeing constant persecution within the United States and around the world of the church. And
right now, we also see a potential of what would be a Civil War II, like a part 2 of the Civil War, brewing up right now with such division.
And a matter of fact, you and James just went to a Trump event here in Springfield, Missouri. And I wanted to find out from you guys what you guys thought while you were there.
Absolutely. Well, we actually have a B-roll of what the people thought about President Trump. And let's play that B-roll.
If we ask you a question, if you could tell Donald Trump one thing, what would it be?
Delete your Twitter account.
Put the American people first, or get the out of there. Thanks.
Thank you. If you could say one thing to Donald Trump, what would it be?
You.
I tell him to off and get the out of our country.
Get the out of the White House. That's probably what I would say.
We'll just keep making America great again.
I would tell him to resign.
If you could tell the president anything or ask him one question, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. You. Up.
Resign now while there's still time.
Stop dividing each other.
Just fall back and let someone else take the seat.
If you could tell the president one thing, what would it be?
Keep up the fight, but be careful. You have snakes in your administration all around you.
That love, not hate, makes America great.
Why do you have to be so small-minded and belittle everybody who isn't rich and white?
If you could ask the president one question or tell him one thing, what would that be?
Just retire. Just go ahead and step down. We don't want you here.
Do our lives matter?
Thank you for your time.
I was asking a question to them. If you could tell the president one thing, or if you could ask the president one question, what would that be? This is an opportunity where you get to sit down with, one of the most powerful men in the United States of America, our president, and ask him anything you want. You can ask him, why do you do this instead of this? Or you can tell him, I think you should do this instead of this. But instead, they give very ignorant responses.
Yeah, actually, do you guys remember, I forgot what late night host it was, but a late night host was kind of berated because he didn't ask any right questions when he had a Trump interview. Because he just messed with his hair,
Right.
So that was a big deal. So yeah, you have this chance to say something. And once again, if you agree or you don't agree, this is a moment for you to ask a real question to the leader of the free world.
Exactly.
And the thing is, now I will say, being there, we did have some sparkled throughout the whole day, some good answers, but a majority of it was what you just saw. Most of it was just yelling and screaming at the camera.
In that section, we found about 2, I think maybe 3 Trump supporters who gave us really solid, logical answers of what they would tell the president. Like the one man said, continue to fight, but know that there are snakes in the White House, people who want to see you fail.
Yeah.
I mean, those are those are the types of things that he would want to say to our president.
Yeah, that's good. And then you did, as I said, you did have 1 or 2 or 3 maybe people that on the other side saying, well, I want to know why you're doing this or why you're doing that. And that's okay. That's fine.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Did you guys feel safe being able to ask questions among the protesters and all?
Well, yeah, we were asking very neutral questions because we wanted to get, we wanted to be journalists, so we wanted to get very neutral responses. We weren't going to try and spark or try and create any type of conflict. But there was a point in time where we got in a group of people where there was actual conflict.
Yeah,
the police had to get involved, and so we were like, so I got in the middle of it, then we separated from it, So there was tension, and the one man you saw with the Trump scarf around him, and he was wearing a Trump shirt. There was people following him actually, and they were kind of looking for a fight. They're getting very close to each other, yelling at each other. So
you could tell where certain areas were hot spots, and you could tell where some people kind of might have wanted it to happen, kind of wanted the drama,
fight, yeah.
And there was people out there that seemed like they just wanted to be out there just for the fun.
Now the thing is, they had a permit to do this.
Yeah.
They had a permit for the street.
Yeah.
So that, by all means, for the United States of America, that is their right to go out and do that. It was a peaceful protest. You know, the police had to get involved one time. It didn't spark in a fight, but because the police was there.
So you felt like the police had good control of the situation?
Oh, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think they had
And I will
excellent
say
control
one
of the
thing-
situation.
I will say one thing. You know, there's good and bad in the police organizations, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say for that one Springfield policeman, he was very respectful because
So respectful.
one of the guys said, "Hey, I want to see your badge and your name number."
Which, by the way, legally he does not have to show
Yeah.
you that.
But what he did was he said, "Hey, there you go." He stayed there for a second, let them take pictures of his information,
And then just
he walked
walked
on.
on.
So he was respectful. He knew. I think he did know that it could have got bad, but he respected the protesters, and majority of protesters
No,
him too. So.
as you can see when we were there, we ran into some interesting people. But one of the most interesting people we ran into was a real communist.
Now, I see that's a...
USSR flag, yes.
Explain that.
I'm a communist.
Old day modern communist?
I'm talking about Marxist communism, the school of Marxists.
Okay.
I'm just here to voice my opinion that I think everything should be equal. I think if you're going to live in a country and a country's going to tax me, then they should provide for me as well. And I understand that I need to work hard, and I would work hard, and I do work hard, but at the same time, but if you're going to tax me, then give me something to show for it. And then,
What do you think of Donald Trump?
what do I think of Donald Trump? I don't like him. I just don't like him. I don't like the person that he is. It's not even just the person that he is, it's the policies and decisions that he likes to make just aren't right.
So what do you say whenever the alt-left calls him a communist? As
Well, I
yourself
would
a
think that
communist?
they're uneducated and they need to educate themselves more on what communism actually is. People called Obama communist, people call Bush communist. They're all a bunch of capitalist cronies that aren't communists. I mean, if the communism was in America, I would know. I'd be the first to know, and I'd be happy about it. And the closest thing that we have to it is our social programs, and that's what I mainly push for in America. I know that we'll never switch to communism. There's just no way. We'd have to change the entire political structure of our country. But at the same time, I would rather have something for people and the social justice of people themselves. Now, I'm not no social justice warrior by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think that people should be able to have food, water, and if they go broke, you know, things in life do happen, and they probably put themselves in that situation, but that doesn't cause them to be any less of an important human being than anyone else, in my eyes.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
This man did say he was a communist. He said if communism were to come to the United States, he would be the first person to know about it because he fully supports communism. Now, he gave very logical answers. He was very respectful, so I appreciate it about him.
Yeah.
But I don't think he fully understands what communism is.
No, a matter of fact, I would say that, I mean, I don't agree with his political perspective. I do not agree that socialism or communism is something
Or
that I would
Marxism.
want to have running my country, but I do respect the fact that he could give us an answer for why he's there, for his opinion, and without like degrading anybody there, without, you know, calling names. You know, as we saw in those the other videos, it's like the only word that anybody seemed like they knew was the F word.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I do appreciate about this man is I asked, you know, what do you think of Donald Trump? He said, I don't like him. Then he redacted that statement and said, but more so, I don't like his policies.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a personal attack on the man and his character.
Yeah.
He's saying, you know, I looked at his policies, I don't like them. So I respect the man that he had logical explanations for why he was there.
Yeah, it's respectfully disagreeing with somebody. It's the thing that we've been saying the entire time. This whole time is like, it's okay if you disagree with him, just do it respectfully. I don't like him. I don't like his policies, whatever.
Which is interesting coming from I guess, a card-carrying communist.
Communist, yeah. Which he was the most respectful person.
Yeah,
the communist.
but you know, once again, those who are watching, if you're on YouTube, watch it. Understand that there are people out there that won't agree with you, but can be respectful.
Yeah, and you know, I think there's hope for everyone. I think, you know, through everybody's youth, you start off with a perspective, and then through life you grow. You know, as you watch presidents, as you experience more things, and you grow up, and you have to pay taxes and all these things. You know, even Rick Joyner was just here. He said when he was young, he was a Marxist.
I was a Marxist at one time. Yeah. Until I said, wait a minute, I better find out what this really is. I saw how crazy it is. I studied what Marx wrote. I read everything he wrote, and I said, this is madness.
Yeah.
You know, and that surprised me from a pretty conservative person and pastor to tell us that, you know, in his youth that he was a Marxist. And then even previously we have David Horowitz on the show who explained that he started off even as a Marxist and communist, and his family was card carrying, that he later came around to be a conservative.
And, you know, one great thing that David Horowitz said while he was here was, you know, he started off that way, and then he sees how weak the church is. And that's why I believe we're getting persecuted so hard, is because we're not fighting back. And I'm not talking with knives and guns, not that type of fighting, because our war isn't physical. We fight in the spiritual realm, but it seems like even there, we continue to lay down time after time after time.
You know, and I think with everything going on right now, the world is looking for a secure church, a church, a body of Christ that's secure in what they know and what they believe. That they have an answer, that they know that they know their foundation is in Jesus Christ, and they know how to spread the gospel without stepping on the toes and criticizing everybody for their difference of belief.
Yes,
absolutely.
exactly.
Now, we've recently had an event here in the United States of America, and it is Tropical Storm Harvey. And I believe this is probably, in a long time, the most unified that I've ever seen the church.
Yeah,
I agree.
As a matter of fact, you know, I think this is a great opportunity as we as a church are trying to proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is also a moment to lend out a hand and help one another. And I love the fact that, you know, through this horrible disaster, we're seeing everybody like laying down their differences. We're seeing everyone lay down the fact that maybe they don't agree with your political stance, but right now is not a time for that. But now is a time to lend out your heart, to give love to your neighbors and people.
But why does it take an event like this for us to realize that? Why does it take, thousands and thousands and thousands of people displaced from their homes, people dying, people missing, for an event like that to happen, for us to realize that we have to understand that we're all the same?
It's similar to like what happened on like 9/11, where people were like, on that day when you see that people are displaced, you see that they're hurting, there's no black and white, there's no, you know what I mean, there's nothing else, but you see humans that need help. And I think that's what really everybody is wanting to do right now.
What honestly frightens me right now is whenever Hurricane or Tropical Storm Harvey, you know, they start to recover, a few years go by, and the church goes right back to where it was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
In disagreement with each other. We lost the unity. Well, you know, because that's what happened during Katrina. That's what happened during 9/11. We see the church come together, becoming so unified for just a short period of time. How can we keep this stamina?
It's almost like, in a sad sense, is that, do we have a world in turmoil all the time and have peace, or do we have no turmoil, no disasters,
but no peace?
But no peace.
Wow.
Is that so? It's weird. It seems like that's such an opposite world to live in.
Do you think God uses events like this to wake the church up?
Absolutely.
Like a shake-up for the church?
I mean, I think this is exactly, just as you put it, a moment for the church to wake up. And what we're seeing is opportunities for the church to, like I was saying, extend their hand out, to be an outreach. And I think God is looking for a church that's solid. He's looking for a church to have a spine, to stand up for what they believe in, and not just allow all these changes in the political and social systems to push them down the way.
Absolutely. And
it's kind of like, you know, there's been people that have prophesied that the next revival, the next great awakening was going to start by the shaking awakening of the church. And this is how the church is shaken. It's shaken through bad events. It's shaken through us having to pull together. And even in the Bible, it talks about embracing hardships. It talks about that, like, hardships could, like, refine our faith and, like, make our faith better. So
that's true. Yeah.
You know, it is in those crushing moments, it's in those pressure moments that the church truly shines. I made a statement the other day. I said, you know, a lot of people don't like the church. A lot of people, you know, dislike the church, but whenever events happen, whenever catastrophes happen, they run to the church. And it's in those moments where it seems like the church is getting persecuted. It's when it seems like they're getting crushed, and that's when we shine the most. Just as when a myrtle leaf is crushed, it creates a fragrant. It creates a sweet fragrant. It's something that it's a process that is hard. It's a process that people don't want to go through. The crushing, the squeezing. It's being taken from something that, you know, off the tree, and it's being refined. But what we don't realize is through that refining process is what makes us valuable. Because if you just were to hand someone a bunch of those leaves, it would mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But once you crush it and it has that sweet fragrance, it's worth so much.
It's kind of like in the Bible, James 1:4-6 says, "Don't run from tests and hardships, brothers and sisters. As difficult as they are, you will ultimately find joy in them if you embrace them. Your faith will blossom under pressure and teach you true patience as you endure. And true patience brought on by endurance will equip you to complete the long journey and cross the finish line, mature, complete, and wanting nothing."
Wow.
So it's those things that honestly prepare us for the journey.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
What does it mean to come to Christ? Does it mean that everything, once you accept the Lord Jesus, that everything's just going to be fine and dandy and you won't ever have to face anything in your life?
No, absolutely not. You know, whenever you come to Christ, people have this perception that it's going to be a perfect lifestyle. I've come to Jesus because, you know, we are going to the perfect one, but we still live in an imperfect world is what we have to remember. Whenever we come to Christ, we're giving our lives to someone and we're saying at that point, we trust you to handle these situations. You know, we were going to go to this later, but I feel like it's supposed to go to now. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2 actually says, we're to bear one another's burdens. We're to do that. And why would they say we're to bear one another's burdens if Christ was going to say also, we're not going to have any burdens?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to have hardships. And God is the ultimate person that we're supposed to throw our burdens upon because his yoke is easy. You know, his burden is light. But here on earth, he uses people. And if I come and help you, and I help James, and I help S, and then in return, Esther helps me, we're all going to take each other's load, and we're going to make it lighter so that way we can go on this long journey ahead. That way we're not struggling, we're not fighting, and we can continue to press on. Also in that chapter, it says, don't lose faith. Don't lose hope, because we will reap what we sow as long as we don't lose heart.
Exactly.
We just have to remember we have to keep on keeping on. I know it's a cliche saying, but we have to continue to press to the pressing. We have to continue to move forward no matter how hard the resistance is against us.
That's right. And it even tells us that a righteous man will fall down, but he'll continue to get up. And we're seeing these times of adversity and pressure, and I think everybody can say it feels like there's something going on in the world. And like we talked about last week, looking at everything in the news, there is definitely something going on. But God wants you to know that your praises are a fragrance to him, that it's a refreshing, that when not just in the moments when life is good, but in the hard moments, in the struggles, in the loss of family, in the loss of possessions and things, the small things God cares about, and he wants you to know that your worship and your praise is a fragrance to him. So stay on your knees, keep worshiping and keep praising even through the storm.
Absolutely. I love the word of God because it says a spiritual person restores. A spiritual person, whenever someone falls down, they don't say, "You've fallen, get out of our sight." No, they help them. They get them back up. They restore, because that's what Jesus would have done when he was here. We have to remember that. Just as the people are going down, even in a physical aspect, to Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Harvey, and they're helping restore those people, even by giving them a meal, by giving them water, by providing them clothes, diapers, the things they need. They're helping slowly restore their lives, because these are people who have lost everything. And this is the time when the church should be at its full throttle helping.
For me, it's like when I see like hard stuff like this happens, it reminds me of like something that Zach Drew used to say, which is like the second that a person's born, they're now an eternal person. Like they're going to be alive for eternity. And if you think about it, when hard stuff happens now on earth, like while we're alive, it's our only opportunity to like reach out to God through that stuff. Like even it's like pushing past it and going, "God, you're still good. Even when things and situations aren't, you're still good, and you're still my, a good father."
You showed me such a beautiful video right before the show of a lady that was worshiping through her storm.
Yeah.
I want to see that. You know, 2 Corinthians 2:15 says that we are a sweet aroma to God. And I believe as she was singing, so many people started worshiping, joining in. And that was such a sweet aroma to God to know that even through their trials, even through the physical storms and the spiritual storms that they're going through right now, losing everything, that they were worshiping God.
And I think it's beautiful. I saw a story the other day, and I kind of stopped on it, and I was like, this is a beautiful moment. And I want to challenge. The thing is, we need to do when we're in a boat. Say we're in a boat going across there in Texas. We're not asking anybody where the church they go to, or are they Christian, or
what denomination are you?
or anything, or are you gay, or are you straight? We're not asking that.
Do you need help?
You need help. And see, and a quote I like right here is, God needs a church who is unapologetic, unashamed, and unafraid. And when you're those things, it doesn't matter who they are, it's you are a strong man or woman of God, and you're going to be there for those people.
Wow, James, that actually just reminded me of something. When Jesus when he approached somebody, it wasn't because of where they were at, or who they were. He was there to minister to them, to bring them up out of that situation. The Pharisees asked him, should we stone this girl for what she has done in life? And he says to him, you without sin shall cast the first stone. Exactly. And I think that's something that we all need to remember, that this is a moment of forgiveness. This is a moment to bring people up out of what they're in. And, looking at what the whole world is going through in this moment, this is an opportunity for us to continually pray for one another, to bless one another, to pray for Kim Jong-un, to pray for Iran and Iraq, to continually bless those that curse you.
Absolutely. A lot of people want to be more like Jesus. They want to have the heart of God more. And if you're going to be more like Jesus, you have to adopt his ethics. And Jesus, while he was here on earth, and I believe while he's sitting on the right hand of God, he is moved by compassion. He has a heart for the people. He came here not to be served, but to serve the people. So if you want to be more like Jesus, get out there, do more. We're going to put a link below that you can donate to the victims of Hurricane Harvey. So make sure to do that. But we want to thank you for watching Revelation in the News. But right before we go, we have a special message from James Chapman.
I don't want to be alive. I just want to die. These lyrics are from rapper Logic's new song named 1-800-273-8255, named after the official suicide helpline. And that was his speech after his VMA performance, where he flashed that number over giant screens and had many people of many backgrounds wear shirts with the same helpline number. I want to say to the church, wake up. Sometimes I think we can be the number one source of hurt and pain in others because we try to change who people are, when the church has been called to be the exact opposite, to love the person God created. We all have had or have someone who is struggling in depression or maybe even suicidal thoughts. I know I have. And berating and Bible thumping these people will never help. We are called to love everyone, and not with ulterior motives, but just wholeheartedly love them, with no strings attached. Just love. The song ends on a high note, saying, I finally want to be alive. I don't want to die today. If a mainstream non-Christian rapper can do this much for the human race, what as a Christian should we be doing? I want to challenge the church to do better and start actually acting like Jesus, and love people, and reach out to those who are struggling, and start taking depression and mental illness seriously. And for those who are struggling with suicidal thoughts, please talk to a friend, find a group, or call 1-800-273-8255.